In the heart of Tokyo, a harrowing scene unfolds. Students armed with their most formidable spells confront an onslaught of monstrous adversaries. Yet to their dismay, their most potent incantations prove futile against these resilient foes. A sense of hopelessness washes over them, and the grim realization that death looms on the battlefield sets in. As the relentless monsters bear down on the beleaguered students, a ray of hope pierces the darkness. A silver-haired hero emerges, effortlessly deflecting the monsters' assaults. A collective gasp of astonishment and relief escapes the students as they witness this unexpected savior in action. Their silver-maned rescuer offers words of encouragement, assuring them that their efforts have been commendable. Overwhelmed with emotion, tears stream down their faces as they receive the order to retreat, leaving the battle in the capable hands of their newfound guardian. With a renewed sense of hope, the students beat a hasty retreat, exchanging bewildered glances and whispers about the mysterious hero's identity. Their savior, however, reveals himself as none other than Ichikami Atsumu, renowned as the founder of magic and hailed as the mightiest mage among them. Standing resolute before the oncoming monsters, Ichikami dodges their attacks with grace and dispatches them effortlessly. Yet behind this present battle lies a more profound history, one etched with calamity. A decade ago, the world witnessed the sudden emergence of hordes of monstrous beings, an event etched in history as the Calamity. Conventional weapons proved utterly impotent against these abominations, forcing humanity to open its eyes to the latent potential of magic. Thus, magic became the sole weapon capable of vanquishing these beasts, inaugurating a relentless battle that spanned over 10 years. Returning to the present, our intrepid hero stands amid a blaze of fire, having vanquished all but one adversary, the Calamity's ultimate manifestation, the demon god. Ichikami's astonishment is palpable, as this is his inaugural encounter with the Calamity's top-ranking entity, the boss of bosses. The demon god exudes an overwhelming aura of magical power, intensifying the pressure bearing down on Ichikami. The boss unchains its magical onslaught, hurling spells at Ichikami with unbridled force. Ichikami narrowly evades the first attack, recognizing that the boss has unleashed its full might from the outset. A compound spell, comprising 6 elements, follows, a formidable assault that Ichikami manages to block. But as the confrontation escalates, the boss surprises him with another devastating strike, engulfing Ichikami in a cataclysmic explosion that sends him sprawling. Yet Ichikami manages to regain his composure amidst the wreckage. He comprehends the enormity of the boss's power and realizes that victory hinges on his utmost resolve. With unwavering determination, he conjures a cerulean aura that clashes with the boss's crimson maelstrom. In this world, magic strength is ascribed to rank, and the number of magic circles defines a spell's potency. The demon god attains the formidable 14th rank, the pinnacle of power, while Ichikami in his mastery pushes the boundaries to the 15th rank. He readies his ultimate spell, the Innocent Void, a 15th-ranked arcane incantation. With a thunderous release of energy, Ichikami directs this spell at the boss, obliterating the malevolent entity in a blinding burst of light. Triumphant yet spent, Ichikami collapses to the ground. He reflects on the culmination of the calamity, believing that its end is nigh. However, he is acutely aware that he has expended every ounce of his magical prowess. His thoughts turn to a resigned acceptance that, should this be his end, dying as a revered sage is not a lamentable fate. In a surreal twist of fate, Ichikami's consciousness is abruptly yanked from the precipice of oblivion. His essence is thrust into the body of a young man lying motionless in a hospital bed, a man grievously injured and bewildered. Upon awakening, Ichikami grapples with the inexplicable transition from the battlefield to a sterile hospital room. He gazes at his own reflection, perplexed by the unfamiliar face that meets his eyes. The sudden entry of a doctor and nurse compounds his confusion. As the doctor removes the bandages, they are astonished to find that Ichikami's injuries have vanished, as if mended by divine intervention. The doctor and nurse are flabbergasted, unable to comprehend this miraculous recovery from a dire traffic accident. Ichikami speculates that his previous life's link to holy magic may explain this inexplicable phenomenon. However, his inquiries into his depleted power baffle the medical staff. When he mentions battling monsters during the calamity, their shock deepens. The doctor urges Ichikami to reveal his name and discern the current year. In response, he introduces himself as Ichikami Minato and posits that the year is 1970. To his astonishment, the doctor corrects him, revealing that it is indeed the year 2022. Ichikami is dumbfounded, struggling to grapple with the implausible leap in time. He casts his gaze upon a strange device, the television, a technology entirely foreign to him, reinforcing the surreal nature of his predicament. The doctor recounts the calamity, elucidating that it unfolded half a century ago and has since vanished into the annals of history. Inquiring about the monsters, Ichikami learns that while a few remnants still exist, the world has largely embraced an era of tranquility. He is heartened by the realization that peace has finally descended upon the world. The doctor proceeds to impart an unsettling truth. During the great calamity of 50 years past, the real Ichikami Minato valiantly sacrificed himself to save humanity. In light of this revelation, Ichikami surmises that he perished during that cataclysmic event and subsequently reincarnated into the body of Kusanagi Minato. The circumstances of this reincarnation remain an enigma, shrouded in the mysteries of the universe. Several weeks later, Ichikami returns to his new abode, a residence laden with memories and a past he has inherited. He learns that Minato's parents met a tragic end when he was but a child. Subsequently, he was relegated to foster care and endured the trials of a boarding school. His sustenance had been derived from the inheritance left behind by his parents. Pondering the absence of reincarnation magic in his previous existence, Ichikami contemplates whether divine intervention or sheer happenstance orchestrated his rebirth. His discovery of a Magic Academy card from his new life's past stirs excitement within him, hinting at untapped potentials and dormant memories. Yet as he settles into his newfound life, an unexpected interruption shatters the tranquility. His phone rings, bearing an unfamiliar caller ID. Tadano. Disinterested, Ichikami disregards the call, hurling the phone aside. A subsequent text message, however, compels his attention, detailing his discharge from the hospital and the dire straits of his financial situation. The following day, Ichikami embarks on a journey to the academy, an establishment he regards with both fascination and trepidation. His initial impressions of the school's facilities and students evoke admiration, but they also stir a sense of disillusionment. Ichikami's disappointment deepens as he observes the students demonstrating their magical prowess, which pales in comparison to the formidable abilities he once knew in his previous life. He cannot help but lament their apparent complacency in a world of peace. Entering his designated classroom, Ichikami harbors hope of forging connections and friendships. His curiosity about whether he possesses any friends lingers as he scans the unfamiliar faces. Suddenly, 3 individuals approach him, their countenances steeped in anger. The red-haired youth among them confronts Ichikami, demanding an explanation for the unheeded text messages. Bewildered by Ichikami's unfamiliarity, the red-haired youth's frustration escalates. In a fit of rage, he delivers a powerful kick to a nearby table. Ichikami's memory is jogged, and he recalls the red-haired youth as the caller from earlier. Excitement courses through him, and he extends a hand in greeting. However, his gesture is met with rejection as the red-haired youth abruptly withdraws his hand and issues an ultimatum. Money, a product of Ichikami's presumed inheritance. The realization dawns upon Ichikami that Kusanagi Minato, his current vessel, was a victim of bullying. The red-haired youth advances menacingly, poised to strike Ichikami. But at that very moment, an enigmatic presence enters the classroom, a striking blue-haired young woman who captures the red-haired youth's attention. With a blush tinting his cheeks, the red-haired youth momentarily shifts his focus from Ichikami to monetary demands, then promptly exits the classroom. The arrival of the teacher heralds the commencement of a lesson on the Great Calamity, a subject of which Ichikami has intimate knowledge. The teacher unravels the annals of history, recounting the catastrophic emergence of monsters across the globe, the Great Calamity. Humanity, driven to despair by these malevolent beings, found solace in the form of the great sage, Ichikami Minato. Unyielding in spirit, he single-handedly battled the monsters and ultimately confronted their boss, the demon god, risking life and limb. The calamity ceased its relentless assault after that fateful showdown. As the teacher poses a question about Ichikami Minato's identity, a blue-haired student named Mizuha raises her hand. She elucidates that Ichikami Minato was not only the sole survivor of the initial calamity, but also the progenitor of modern magic. Furthermore, he was the catalyst for the establishment of the Kame Magic Academy. Her eyes sparkle with admiration as she extols him as a hero and the idol of all magicians. The teacher lauds her response and hints that this knowledge will feature on an upcoming test. Meanwhile, Ichikami, overwhelmed by the accolades and attention showered upon him, grapples with feelings of self-consciousness. He ponders the wisdom of his decision to attend school, now questioning the necessity of his presence in this era of peace. As the lesson concludes, he contemplates how the world has transformed since the calamity's end, attributing the newfound complacency of magicians to the prevailing peace. A burgeoning sense of tranquility settles over Ichikami as he gazes out the classroom window, taking in the serene surroundings. His reflections lead him to the conclusion that the world has indeed become a more peaceful place. However, this fleeting peace is disrupted when the red-haired youth returns, resuming his derogatory tirade against Ichikami. Infuriated, Ichikami resolves to leave, picking up his bag as he prepares to depart. The others in the classroom respond with laughter, reveling in his humiliation. Ichikami, burning with defiance, directs a profanity toward his tormentor. In an unexpected turn of events, the red-haired youth retaliates by conjuring a fiery projectile within the confines of the classroom. The students' shock and disbelief are palpable as the fireball hurtles toward Ichikami, who stands resolute. Unscathed by the flames, he emerges from the fiery explosion, leaving the witnesses in stunned silence. The magnitude of this display defies comprehension. Ichikami realizes that he has not employed magic to defend against this rudimentary attack, a mere level 1 spell. His innate abilities, dormant but unimpaired, shielded him from harm. Kusanagi had reached the limits of his tolerance. The trio of students, especially the red-haired instigator, had pushed him too far. He felt the sinister wrath bubbling up within him, reflected in the dark glint in his eyes. The audacity of these three had consequences, and they were about to experience it firsthand. His decision was swift. Kusanagi summoned his magical powers, weaving them into a brilliant blue aura that enveloped him. The entire classroom fell into an eerie stillness as an invisible force immobilized everyone. The students, wide-eyed and bewildered, couldn't comprehend what was happening. With a grim expression, Kusanagi advanced towards the trembling red-haired youth, who cowered in fear. The confrontation seemed inevitable, but just as Kusanagi was about to exact his retribution, the classroom door swung open, and the teacher strode in, inquiring about the unusual events within. The teacher's presence disrupted Kusanagi's plan, and he quickly masked his anger with a disarming smile. He calmly informed the teacher that nothing untoward was occurring within the classroom. Kusanagi slyly suggested that the source of the disturbance might be outside the room, deflecting suspicion from the trio. The teacher remained inquisitive, asking about the smoke that had billowed moments ago. Kusanagi promptly explained that it had originated from outside, maintaining the facade of innocence. The teacher, however, remained vigilant, vowing to investigate the matter further. He instructed the students to return to their seats. Kusanagi, now in damage control mode, apologized for the disruption and contemplated how to create false evidence to absolve the trio of blame. Meanwhile, Mizuha, who had witnessed the entire episode, was shocked by Kusanagi's unexpected display of power. The incident left her with lingering questions and concerns. As Kusanagi and Mizuha went their separate ways, the red-haired student harbored resentment for the way Kusanagi had handled the situation. In contrast, Kusanagi pondered his next move. He recognized that the students' magical abilities were severely lacking, making them vulnerable in a world where threats might still lurk in the shadows. That night, Kusanagi took to the skies above old Shibuya, concealing his face as he surveyed the area. He marveled at the transformation the district had undergone. Despite his efforts to eradicate monsters in the vicinity the previous night, his senses now detected the presence of a lone monster and a human nearby. Intrigued and concerned, Kusanagi descended upon the scene and discovered a young girl in the midst of a perilous encounter with a monster. Without hesitation, he intervened, dispatching the creature with effortless skill. The girl, adorned with the badge of a police magician, expressed her gratitude and admiration for her mysterious savior. Before the girl could glean more about Kusanagi's identity, he departed swiftly, leaving her in awe. She puzzled over the enigmatic magician who had saved her without uttering a single incantation. Meanwhile, Kusanagi contemplated the implications of his intervention. Hiding his face had been a prudent choice, but the incident had also reinforced his belief that the world's magic had waned in his absence. Magicians of this era appeared significantly weaker than he remembered, and the need for his extraordinary powers seemed ever more apparent. With a self-satisfied smirk, Kusanagi concluded that even in this era, his abilities were in demand. He resolved to eliminate any lingering monsters in the surrounding area to safeguard the fragile peace that had been achieved. The following day at the academy, students gathered for a magical assessment using a specialized device. The device, designed to measure magical power and its associated attribute, held significant importance for the students. Kusanagi, however, was in for a surprise. To his dismay, he discovered that he couldn't measure his magical power without the aid of the device. This revelation disappointed him not only in the students but also in the educational system, which seemed to lack even the fundamental knowledge of magic perception. Mizuha, the blue-haired student who had witnessed Kusanagi's power, approached him. Their conversation attracted curious gazes from the other students. She introduced herself as Mizuha Yuka, the second daughter of the prestigious Mizuha noble family, one of the leading 4 magical houses. Kusanagi, oblivious to the world of magical nobility, sought an explanation. Mizuha elucidated that the magical nobles were descendants of the leading 4 houses and held prominent positions among magicians. Her family, the Mizuhes, were revered for their magical prowess. However, Kusanagi remained unimpressed, questioning her abilities despite her noble lineage. Their exchange drew the ire of the red-haired student, who seethed with jealousy. Mizuha persisted, seeking answers about Kusanagi's unusual abilities. She questioned how he had emerged unscathed from a magical attack the previous day, a feat that left her both astonished and intrigued. Before further explanations could unfold, the teacher summoned the students, diverting their attention. It was time for the magical assessment, a pivotal moment for all attendees. The assessments began with the red-haired student, who placed his hand upon the crystal device. The display revealed his magical power to be 1,000, and his attribute was fire. The red-haired student reveled in his perceived success. Kusanagi watched with a mix of amusement and disappointment. He noted that the standards for measuring magical power hadn't evolved in the 50 years since his time. Next in line was Mizuha Yuka. As she placed her hand upon the crystal, the device revealed her magical power to be 2,000, with water as her attribute. The students and teacher alike were impressed by her remarkable score. The teacher declared her and the red-haired student to be the top performers of the year, destined for greatness as magicians. Kusanagi, however, remained unimpressed by Mizuha's apparent prowess. He found it difficult to fathom how she, as the supposed top student, could possess such a modest level of magical power. His disappointment deepened as he observed her proud expression. The following assessment candidate was none other than Kusanagi himself. His presence alone stirred murmurs among the students, who doubted his magical aptitude. With an air of indifference, Kusanagi approached the crystal device, contemplating how much power to reveal. He weighed the risks of standing out too conspicuously, but ultimately decided to exhibit his full capabilities, albeit discreetly. Placing his hand upon the crystal, Kusanagi channeled his magic, resulting in a dazzling display of rainbow-colored lightning. The device, unable to contain the surge of power, malfunctioned dramatically, triggering a massive explosion that sent shockwaves throughout the classroom. Students scrambled to shield themselves from the chaos. Kusanagi, unfazed by the spectacle, stood amidst the aftermath. He had intentionally unleashed only a fraction of his potential, but even that had proven overwhelming for the device. The teacher approached, bewildered by the unprecedented turn of events. It was the first time he had witnessed such a device malfunction. Kusanagi, adopting an air of nonchalance, inquired about the consequences of the device's breakdown. The teacher explained that the students would be divided into groups for a combat class, and their placements would be determined after assessing their magical powers. With his characteristic calm, Kusanagi accepted the situation. His curiosity was piqued by the teacher's decision to pair him with the red-haired student, prompting a fleeting exchange of glances between the 3 students. As the day unfolded, the students embarked on a practical exam. The teacher explained that while most strong monsters in the area had already been vanquished, the students were tasked with addressing the remaining threats, mainly magical beasts. Kusanagi had anticipated the practical exam but couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Tadano, accompanied by his loyal cohorts, approached Kusanagi. He instructed Kusanagi to stay out of their way, making their animosity plain. Kusanagi, unflustered, advised them to proceed as they please, a suggestion met with indignation from Tadano. Tensions escalated, and Tadano threatened Kusanagi with a magical attack. In response, Kusanagi calmly directed their attention behind them. To their shock, they discovered a menacing demon soldier lurking in their midst. Tadano, momentarily paralyzed by fear, regained his composure and attempted to confront the demon soldier with a powerful spell. However, his attack left the creature unscathed, shattering his confidence. Kusanagi, watching the events unfold, understood the true danger the students faced. A level 1 spell was insufficient to defeat a demon soldier. which typically required a level 3 spell or higher to vanquish. Trembling with terror, Tadano and his companions collapsed to the ground, resigned to their impending demise. Just as the demon soldier prepared to strike, it suddenly sensed the overwhelming magical power emanating from Kusanagi. The creature hesitated, backing away cautiously. Kusanagi approached the quivering trio and declared that even a demon soldier could discern the stronger presence among them. With calculated precision, Kusanagi employed his level 2 spell, Rock Break, supplemented by fire magic. In an instant, the demon soldier was defeated, leaving the students in a state of disbelief. As the dust settled, Kusanagi mused about the demon soldier's inexplicable presence in Shibuya. The fact that monsters had reappeared despite his efforts to eradicate them raised troubling questions. Kusanagi's commitment to safeguarding this world was resolute, even as the challenges grew more complex. Meanwhile, Mizuha, who had observed the entire ordeal from a distance,